Okay, we're recording. That light's red. All right, welcome back, Double Teamed fam, to Vanilla Sundays, a segment brought to you by Nikki that I'm now a part of. How are we doing? Before we get started, let's just all take like a collective deep breath. Ready? In through the nose. And release it. Okay, I'm not gonna sigh it out. I hate that. Anyways, usually when I'm like in my yoga class or whatever, and they're like, sigh it out, let it out. I'm just like, that's it. That's all you get from me. Anyways, so for this Vanilla Sunday, we're going to go over. Now, I've kind of talked about this in like other podcasts, like on Steph's pod when I talked about my breakup with a neighbor, and even my own podcast. But we're going to go over 5 things to do post breakup that will help you heal. This is what I've done, and I feel like it's helped me a ton. And hopefully this is helpful for you if you're going through a breakup, or even if you're just going through like a tough situation and you need to let your emotions out. So number 1, and this is going to sound really, obvious, but I want you to really like feel your feelings. And by this, I mean like, don't be afraid to let them out. I know a lot of the times whenever I get emotional about something, when I'm going through a tough time, like, and I feel like the tears coming on or whatever, I'm like holding it in. Like it's not that I'm ashamed of it, but I just don't want to release it. And that can be pretty harmful, right? You have to like let your emotions out. I know as I've been like processing the grief of my ex-fiance passing away, sometimes when I get really frustrated or very sad, I literally scream. Like the whole let everything out scream. I cry. Usually I do it like, I wait till Nikki leaves the house, I'm not gonna lie. Just because like I want it to be like a really like personal moment for myself. So feel your feelings. Don't be afraid of them. Cry it out. Men, just cry. It's fine. Or if you're like one of those people where maybe, the outward representation of your emotions isn't so obvious, because I realize some people just don't cry. Find an outlet, like find some sort of outlet. I don't know. For me, it's just very obvious. I cry, I scream, go take a drive in your car. If you want that alone time and you don't have it at your own home, whether you have like roommates, family, whatever, find a solo moment for yourself and feel your feelings. Number 2, now I talked about this on Steph's pod, journal. Write it out. Literally write out your emotions. I feel blah, blah, blah. This situation is causing me pain. Write it out. You're literally like, and also it helps you. I find oftentimes whenever I start writing and journaling is when I actually, instead of just like, being in my head, now that I have to put pen to paper, I actually start to process more. And then I get more specific with myself, like as to why I'm feeling this, blah, blah, blah. So, right, you're going through a breakup. Write love letters, write breakup letters, write angry letters. I've done all of this. And burn them, keep them, whatever you want to do, just write it out. There's a lot of power in journaling, I think. And if you find it difficult to like start writing, start with one word or start with an affirmation. I love myself. I am in pain. I believe in the magic of the universe. I will get through this. Just write something. and that will help you flow. Now, honestly, you don't need to do this a whole lot. You can, sometimes I go into my journal, I write a quick little poem. Talked about that on Steph's pod. Writing poetry has helped me a ton. I have so many poems. I even read a few on Steph's pod, which is very embarrassing. Please ignore those. Um, but anyways, for me, poetry has helped a lot. And yeah, sometimes I'll just open my journal and sometimes I literally will just write a quick little sentence like, I forgive myself, and close the journal, walk away. But at least I wrote it down. Or even if I'm just like having a random thought and I'm in my head and maybe like, I don't know, I'm out somewhere, I don't have my journal with me, I pull out my notes app on my phone and I write out something real quick. I have some of my poems, some of my journal entries in my phone, but for the most part, I keep them in my journal. So again, number 1, feel your feelings. Number 2, journal, write something. Like I said, you can also write love letters to said person or said situation that's happening. And that can be also very cathartic for releasing the emotions. Number 3, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. How many of you like go for a walk? How many of you like are active throughout your day? And the reason I want to say this is because like I have the pleasure of living across from my neighbor, who I'm trying to get over. And let me tell you this, I sometimes feel bad because I look over and I just see him on his couch on his phone all day. And it's like, he doesn't go for a walk. I think he does go to the gym. I don't know how often he goes. But like he'll go to work, go to a dinner, whatever. But then for the most part, like he's at home on his phone. And I think about it and I'm like, in the culture that we have in America, like a lot of people move, yes, but a lot of people don't. Nikki and I, we have 2 dogs that require a lot of, walking, and they need to expend their energy. So for us, like we're forced to go outside and walk them. And I think that's really helpful because it gets the body moving. I know for my British guy, he's been going through some emotional things. And I know that, he lives in this penthouse apartment, however many floors up. He's a very tall building. Anyways, and I know like he goes to dinners, but he doesn't have a pet or anything like that. So I asked him, I was like, okay, well, when you find yourself getting upset at this situation, like, and you feel it in your body, like, are you just sitting at home? Like, what are you doing? And I gave him the advice of like, immediately when you're starting to feel upset, go for a walk. And I think a lot of people need to remember moving the body is what's going to help release a lot of emotions and a lot of frustration. So make it a goal, especially if you like, I don't know, maybe your job involves you sitting around all day. Maybe you're at an office. Maybe your job involves you being up in your feet the whole time, but you're not like moving around, you're moving around within a closed space. I don't know. Whatever it involves. Still, sometime in the day, carve out a moment, whether you have a pet or not, if you have a dog, I hope you're walking them. Anyways, whether you have a pet or not, just go outside, get some sunlight, go on your 20-minute, hot girl walk, mini bee walk, whatever you want to label it, but just get your body moving. And, to go along with this, with number 3, it's like somatic things, which somatic means like, body-based. Somatic practices are going to help you release. And this is very important. Now I know with my therapist, she's a somatic therapist, so I go, but a lot of the times like in our session, it's her like holding me, right? So she's like either like holding my kidney or holding my neck or holding my head while we're talking about my problems. And I'm usually on a massage table. And that helps, like co-regulation with someone really does help. So like if you have a buddy, or a friend or a partner and, you're going through something and you need It's just kind of like that co-regulation. Like ask them like, hey, like, let's chat for a minute. Do you mind? And I know this sounds weird. Like, can I get a hug? Or, can we hold arms? Whatever. But somatic work is actually it's really helpful. It's going to help move the emotions out of your body. And that's really what's important, because any stored emotions in your body is going to cause problems such as disease, or ailments, etc. So get moving, people. Move the body. Go to the gym. Go for a walk. Go do a boxing class. Go to hot yoga. I have started doing. So here are the things that I've done to kind of like drop into my body, kind of like, and be more present, which actually this kind of goes into number 4, but we'll get there. Rock climbing has been a huge help. Because it gets me out of my head. Pottery, which it's sitting, but like you actually are like, you're using your hands a lot and you are dropping into your body and you're being very present. Clay is not forgiving. And you really have to focus on the craft. I've been doing like contrast therapy, so hot sauna, cold plunge. I go to a little studio spa that I get like a 60-minute window where I can just do sauna, cold plunge, sauna, cold plunge, sauna, cold plunge for 60 minutes. It's lovely. I will say, when I do a cold plunge, if you want to adopt this, you don't have to, but if you want to, as soon as I drop into that cold water, I start saying my affirmations. I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am sexy. I am confident. I have confidence. Things like that. I have a beautiful life. I'm thankful for my life, etc. So sauna, I'm like, usually I have my music in. I'm disassociating a little bit, but the minute I get into the cold plunge, start those affirmations. Tell yourself positive thoughts. So contrast therapy, also pottery, rock climbing, and like I said, hot yoga in general. That's been really helpful as well. And it's really nice to like flow and just kind of remind yourself that like your body is capable of some really beautiful things. And no matter like at what stage you are in life, when you go to a yoga class, you see many different age groups, right? When you go to a sauna, you see many different age groups. So this is applicable to anybody. Which kind of takes us into number 4, be present. I can't tell you how, like, oh man, like think about it. How often are we just so in our heads? I remember I was doing a Reiki session, which is another thing I do. But I know that isn't for everybody and that's a little woo woo. But I was doing a Reiki session and my Reiki girl was like, feel into your feet. And I was like, and she was like, when you're in your head about something, immediately like, and I'm just going to free foot content, like scrunch your toes, flex, like move your foot around, feel into your feet. The minute you do that, you are immediately dropping into the present moment. Another thing that I do to stay present, like I said, choose activities that make you drop into your body. So whether it's pottery, or you're doing rock climbing, whatever, like it's making you focus on your body. I know the minute that I get into my head, I find 5 things in the present moment around me and I name them. So I'll be like, okay, I have blue nails. My name is Camila Rodriguez. Today's date is June 27th. I can't tell you how many times I get in my head and then all of a sudden I'm like, the date is, and I blank because I'm not being present and my brain is, fucking 30 days back, whatever. And I'm thinking back on a memory about a painful moment or whatever. And my brain doesn't know that today's June 27th. My mind thinks I'm all the way back in this painful moment a month ago, right? So you have to stay present. Even like on the days that are really, that I get emotional, that are really hard, and, maybe I'm going out with friends or I'm at a show or I'm at a dinner, I immediately find 5 things to name around me. I say the date. I tell myself my name. I name the color of, something right in front of me, whatever. And that immediately drops me back into the present moment. And and I know it kind of maybe sounds silly when you're like, oh yeah, stay present. But at the end of the day, it's like you can get so into your head and your mind can just really like suck you in and warp you in. And all of a sudden you're sent back to the past. And you might be at a grocery store, but like I said, your mind is elsewhere. So get present. All right, so let's go over those 4 again. Number 1, feel your emotions, let them out, find a way to let them out, throw a fucking pillow, scream, cry, just do something for yourself to release that emotion. Number 2, journal, write it out, write a letter, burn it, however you want to do, write down your feelings. Number 3, what was number 3 again? Move your body. Do something somatic for yourself just to really like release the emotions in a very physical way. Number 4, stay present. Find ways to stay present and don't get locked into your mind. And then I would say like number 5, this isn't really very like specific, but really get deep with yourself. Talk with your friends. Talk with a therapist. Talk with yourself. I talk to myself like all the time. And but really start doing the work to shift your mind. Like the minute you have a negative thought come in, you can just get deep with yourself. Like, anything that just kind of shifts the focus for you. Because, for example, I feel like a lot of the times, especially like, this particular breakup with my neighbor, like it made me question my confidence a lot, which I haven't always been the most confident person. Confidence is something that I've struggled with for a very long time. Now, I feel like over the past few years, I've been building my confidence a lot more. But there still have been situations that have really made me do like the inner work to kind of get to the root of my confidence and why it's been lacking from the beginning or when it started lacking, etc. And so this situation with my neighbor like really made me question a lot of things in the sense that like I was just getting really down on myself. And your thoughts are powerful and your thoughts create your reality. So with those affirmations, like I said earlier, I had to do a lot of work to really just the minute a negative thought comes in, I already know I'm going to immediately counter it with something else. I'm not going to go into woe is me and, dig in and get further and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Why would he do that to me? This blah, 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 blah. Like I don't go deeper into the despair, right? I build up, which I've read a book. Well, I started reading a book. I need to get back. But it was basically talking about transcending the levels of consciousness. And and in the book, it like rates the different levels of consciousness. And one of the lowest ones is despair. So think about it. Whenever you're going through a really tough moment, when you're going through a really hard breakup, don't stay in that level of despair because it'll create despair into your reality. Instead, you need to shift your focus. You need to shift your thoughts. You need to give your mind a powerful mindset and really start affirming to yourself, no, this is just a moment. Things are going to be okay and I'm going to get through this. And, start focusing on the positive, which I know easier said than done. I'm the kind of person that's like, I don't know, maybe I'm like a slut for pain or something. But I find myself, especially when I'm not feeling confident, I find myself getting into that level of despair. And then I have to quickly remind myself, nope, we're not going to do that. We're not going to stay here. We're going to build ourselves up. So those are my 5 things to do when you're going through a really tough breakup, or maybe you're just in a really tough situation that's affecting you emotionally, mentally, even physically. I've had a lot of health things come up through this situation with my neighbor because it threw off my nervous system so much. Even to the point where, like, my friend who's a psychic, I remember one time I was like, pull a card for me, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, and she pulled a card and she was like, God damn, what the fuck is wrong with your nervous system? She was like, you need to chill. You need to, rewire. You need to find peace. And weeks prior, my other psychic had said the same thing. She was like, because I had asked her for like this mini reading, and she was like, what's wrong with your nervous system? Let's talk about that. You need to, find equilibrium. So our thoughts, our emotions, especially when they're very negative, when they're very hurtful, etc., can manifest into physical problems. And we don't want that. So here's also just my general confirmation and affirmation to you. Time takes you with it. Life goes on. How important is this going to be in a year from now, in 5 years from now, right? You've gotten yourself this far. You're going to find happiness at one point. So this is just the tough part. Feel your feelings. Take care of yourself. Pour love into yourself, and then you're really going to get far. And you're going to find the next thing that's going to make you happy. And everything in life is a cycle, right? There's a beginning and an end. And at one point, you just have to accept that. So that's my little vanilla sundae. I hope you enjoyed it. And if this helped you out, let me know. Now, of course, my vanilla sundaes I'm just going to be bringing along different topics along the way. But this breakup has really helped me get intentional. And I've loved the way I've gotten intentional. And I wanted to share that with you guys. So you can reference this at any point. Peace. Bye.